What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about The Witcher 3's remaster, or its complete edition, next gen, whatever you want to call it. I believe they call it the complete edition on their website, but, the name is subjective. The name could be, whatever you want it to be, technically. But I do want to talk about this game. It's been a while. I believe in early September of 2020 is when they announced that they were doing this, and a lot obviously has happened with CD Projekt Red since then. So the general idea of this video is going to be, will it be delayed out of 2021? Now, I've made this mistake a few times before, so when I did this, or when I was looking this up, I wanted to make 100% certain that they did at some point say the game was supposed to come out this year, because I know sometimes I've said something, people were like, I don't remember anybody saying that's when the date was supposed to be. For Witcher, it took me a couple articles, actually many articles that reported on this. Day one didn't say anything, but no, they did say back then when they announced the game that it would be coming sometime in 2021. Now, again, with Cyberpunk, I don't even remember at that time if it was still going to come out in November, if they had already pushed it to December. But, Cyberpunk was still coming. Again, none of that stuff, was happening yet. The multiplayer for Cyberpunk, the DLC for Cyberpunk, all that stuff was still supposed to happen in 2021. And then The Witcher 3's remaster, okay? Now, this, to me, is a pretty simple answer. I just can't see how this releases this year. That's fine. By the way, I think that's an important thing to say pretty early on, especially for CD Projekt Red, especially for, the situation that they've been through over the last, couple months. It's, I think, fine and probably something that we would all hope to see that it is pushed. Now, the thing is, we don't know how exactly they work inside it. Like, do they have a team specifically for it? Were they expecting to have it be kind of a short, a turnaround of working on it? We don't necessarily know how it was supposed to be. Technically, if they've had a separate team, and by the way, just because they announced it in September doesn't mean that's when they created it, right? Obviously, they probably were working on it for quite some time. And that, by the way, already to me signals they do have a group of people, obviously the size we don't know, working on The Witcher 3's, remaster, whatever you want to call it, while the rest of them at the time would work on the main game of Cyberpunk, then they worked on patches, then they work on DLC, then they work on more patches, then they work on multiplayer. So, or maybe they have a different team altogether working on multiplayer, right? So I would say it is possible that The Witcher 3 still releases in 2021. I know I saw a couple sites back when they announced it saying, obviously, the anniversary, I think like May 18th or something, around that time was obviously this upcoming May, is 6 years since the Witcher 3 release. So, obviously, the anniversary date would be a pretty cool thing to try to nail. They could always nail it next year, right? I think what makes this really not that big of a deal is a couple things. Number one, again, we all want the best product for a game like this, and we've already been lied to, deceived, all the different words from CD Projekt Red for Cyberpunk, right? So we're probably in that cautious mode still, which we should be. In fact, as I've said before, even, whether you're being hard on CD Projekt Red or not, one of the things I've said is that I think in order to gain, everybody's trust back, journalists, not that it really matters what they think, the consumers, us, right, even, investors, anybody, okay? The only way to do it is, obviously, when Witcher 3's remaster comes out, it needs to be, flawless, which is not that difficult because it's a game that's already made. Their next game, whatever the next game is, needs to also be nearly flawless. It can't have the problems that, Cyberpunk had. That's what I've been saying. And so, that's something to remember as well. And also, again, with the stuff going on around the world, right, they always call it, obviously things are going to get pushed. And we didn't know at the time when Witcher 3 was announced that all this stuff was going to happen. So, since then, and also one other important thing is that hack on them, whatever that was. Remember that was exposing their own employees, and then there was a blackmail, they wanted certain things from them, or they would release it on the dark web and all that stuff. Remember, and I actually respect how CD Projekt Red handled it. They were like, we're not going to talk. We're not going to negotiate with certain words, right? I actually liked it. Kind of seemed cool, kind of seemed very bold of them to do. But the reality is they did sound cool. They did stand their ground. I respect all of that. However, that whoever the individuals were that had this information, they did do some pretty bad stuff with it. So, yeah, they stood their ground, but, the results were still the same, where this stuff was leaked, Remember, the rumor is like they told people not to leave their houses because like their passport information, all this stuff is like out there, like a lot of stuff. So basically, a lot of employees of CD Projekt Red have had like 2 months off because they literally cannot work because all their information is out there. So again, I really, that's not their fault, unless obviously somebody did something stupid to make their network stuff so weak that people could take it, but nobody really should be trying to take that stuff anyway. So it really isn't, again, I wouldn't say it's their fault. And I do respect the way they stood up for it, but you have the situation with Cyberpunk. You have, obviously, they're trying to do patches over the next couple months, and they've already done, a couple patches that they probably didn't intend to do in the first, or they didn't think it would obviously take so much work, or that it would be at the forefront of everything they needed to do, right? Maybe they thought, okay, well, we could do 1-2 patches, then we can just get right to DLC because everything will be solved. And instead, now they have to work months and months and months on these patches that they probably didn't plan for. So that pushes the DLC, it pushes the multiplayer, and again, while it could be another team working on Witcher, you also have to wonder, you should all wonder, if like how the release schedule works to them. So like, do they care if in the midst, say Witcher's done, say it's done tomorrow, like they literally finished it, are they okay with in all of this chaos with Cyberpunk, right? There's still no DLC out, the multiplayer is not out yet. Say a DLC does come out like in a month or two, do you do The Witcher like right after that? Like, does that, you know what I mean? Does that make sense to them? Do you want, basically my question is, do you want everything to come out on Cyberpunk 2077? So you have all, say you want to have 4 DLCs, you put them all out. Say you want to have the multiplayer, that's out. Do you want all of that stuff out first? And also, by the way, I forgot to say this, the next gen, remember the next gen upgrade stuff too, so you have that as well, which we know is in the second half of 2021, so that's even later. Do you want all that stuff to come out first and then you put out The Witcher 3? Or are you okay putting The Witcher 3 kind of in the middle of like a lot of Cyberpunk stuff? To me, it doesn't matter. I've said this in live streams, so I'll be like flat out honest with you guys. I gave up on Cyberpunk. I had it installed for a very long time. I would play it. I would drop it for like 2, 3, 4 weeks. I would jump back in, and I kept it just because I was waiting for like my brain to say, okay, put in the 50, 60, 70 hours, like play the freaking game. And I never did. And so I was like, okay, I'm done. So I deleted it. So personally, to me, again, it doesn't really, you guys may not care about my opinion, but to me, I don't care if The Witcher 3 comes out right now. I'm done with Cyberpunk. I'm most likely not jumping back. Maybe when the next gen upgrade comes and like everything's completely, clean and all that stuff, maybe I'll jump back in. But to be honest, I'm pretty much done with that game. It's almost like it never existed to me. And I would gladly, because by the way, other side story, I played The Witcher 3, but I played it for like 12 hours. So I never actually beat the game. And so I've actually wanted to jump back in and play it from start to finish, and I've had numerous opportunities to do that I've chosen to beat other games instead. And the reason I did that recently is because of this, complete edition, this next gen remaster. I want to wait for that so that I can, get the full enhancements and also just restart the game. So I'm waiting patiently. I would want it. I do want it as soon as possible, but I would wait patiently for it. So I would think my conservative view of the situation would be 2022. I think that it's just probably best to pretend like they never said it's coming out in 2021 and just expect it next year. If it does pull off like a fall or holiday release, like it comes out November, December of this year that we're in, that's fine. I mean, that's awesome. I would absolutely, I would say buy it, but you get it for free if you already owned it, which I did. So that's awesome. It would be really, really awesome, but I personally am not expecting it. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that we're going to get it this year? Do you think it's been pushed to next year? Are you like me? Are you kind of waiting for it to beat the game, or did you already beat it? Let me know what's your situation in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. I have a slew of social media stuff that I'm also on. I have a second channel, I have a Twitch, I have a Discord, I have a Twitter. All of that stuff is in the description below if you guys want to check any of that stuff out. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.